How are y'all doing? I hope you're doing great today. I am so excited to be here. I know that every YouTuber says that at the beginning of their video, but I really am. I have done a lot of researching and gathered a lot of information. I think this content is going to be really helpful for all of my writer friends, hearties and whiskeys alike. So I hope that you just sit back, relax, and get a cup of tea and just go through and watch it with me, or coffee, whatever you like best. If you've never been here before, my name is Jody Jean Daniels. Welcome to my channel. I would love it if you would subscribe, comment, and like the video because, as we all know, it will help YouTube notice me a tiny bit more, maybe. All right, let me pull up the screen and show you guys where we're going with this today. Let's see. I want this one. There we go. All right, we are going to go over leveling up your plotting and planning with an outline. So I used to be a pantser. I am still sort of a pantser. I think I call myself a plantser now. So let's just get into it, Whiskies. This is the third video on this journey of me flipping my crazy lady labradoodle brain of a project manager into how I can use this on my now full-time career as a writer. So if I just want you guys to, I hope, find as much fun in this as I have. So let's hop in. Let me grab the next slide. All right. So in project management, the third step, because we've already went over the first step, which was our overview of everything and all that encompasses. Our second video was on brainstorming last week. Brainstorming plays into your plot and plan and outline still. I'll show you that in a moment. But the third step in project management is coming up with a plan. Now, the plan at this point is not finite in project planning. So to me, that went hand in hand with how writers outline their novels. So I thought this would be a good way to tie those two things together. So it's a lot, guys. This is an outline of how you need to think about your key ideas, okay? I was reading an article on Red Sea, and all of these things are sort of writer, author knowledge, common sense. We all know them things. But in this particular order is how Red Sea was saying was a good way to think about your key points. So when you're outlining your novel, you need to pick that main character, the one that's going to carry your story through, the one that you click with the most, and give them a big, huge problem. And then you're going to need to find something that's going to kind of throw them in to the deep end of the pool. It's going to cause that inciting incident. It's going to spark them into action. We're going to set obstacles in their way that they can't get out of. They're going to have to face their biggest fears. But you're going to need to know where the final resolution is going, because you have to know where your final resolution is pretty, not early on, but before the end. So you can figure out your character's arc, and also so you can connect the end of your story to the beginning of your story. And I'll show you that in a little bit. When we jump over to the overhead, I'm going to show you how I do that when I show you the analog version of, I'll be showing you this, the analog version. And then I will also show you the OneNote version of how I do it. I know I've been asked, you guys have asked for both ways. Next slide. All right. This is from another article that I found, guys. And this guy, P.S. Hoffman, it's a great article. And it's the 7 best ways, according to him, to outline a novel. And the one that I use is on here, and it's number 1. So look at me being smart and stuff. So he shares all these best practices. There's 7. They're all really good. So you could really pick from any of them, and you would be successful if you followed through. Today, we will focus on the method that I use, which is the one-page outline for quick and easy outlining. What I want you to remember is I have, as I do with everything, I've tweaked the one-page outline to fit me. And what I do is I have my brainstorming sheet on the back of my outlining sheet. So I hope you guys can see that. All right, but like I said, you'll see it in the overhead and you'll be able to see it much better in a few minutes. Now, with the one-page method, you are going to give your main character a huge problem, like I said, and you're oops, sorry guys, I touched the wrong button. You're going to have to kind of figure out a way early on how you're going to connect the beginning of your story to the end of your story. And again, there was a really cool article that I'm linking below for you guys from Ritzy. I hope I'm saying their name right. And it is a fill in the blank exercise that helps you describe your 2 bookends. And they kind of guide you through that. Now, I don't use that in particular. I just found it, thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to bring it to you guys so you could see, what was going on. Now, again, the 3-act, 9-block, 27-scene structure that I'm about to pull up comes to us from the incredible Kat O'Keefe. Her YouTube channel is Katie-tastic, and I suggest you check her out. She's amazing. There have been so many articles written about her, about this method. It really changed the way I do my writing. It changed me from a pantser into a plantser. So I think it's really worth the watch and the read of all those articles and all of her YouTubes. So this is it. This is what you got. So this is the version that I use, of course. I know that all my whiskeys, if you're part of my Patreon, you know to go to my Patreon to get a copy of this. You can print it off as many times as you want. It's on my free tier, and you can use it at your leisure. I love this sheet. And I can't stress it enough how much it helps me in my everyday writing life, especially now that I'm writing full time and it's my job. It's helping me move along my storylines quicker. And when I have an outline and I have something to go by, I am in a better place where I can get the words for the day that I need. So I'm able to keep up with all of my milestone dates, all of my cutoff dates, and all of my due dates. So, and we'll talk about those kind of dates later on in the process in some other videos. But right now I'm going to stop the video and I am going to jump over to the overhead camera. And I'm going to walk you guys through the analog version of the page and how to turn it from here to here. Give me 1 minute, guys. I'll be right back. Hey, guys. Okay. So you've seen this before. You know how I use it. You know how it came about. But it's from the wonderful Kate of Katie-tastic over on YouTube. I pulled some ideas from her and created this for myself, and it's just the process I go through. I don't do my full outline analog on here anymore. I get my bones down and then I do my entire outline over in OneNote, but with a copy of this. And I'll show you guys when we go back over, when I'm off of the overhead and we go back over. But what I do at this point is I go down through here and I ask myself a series of questions. And those questions come from my little, what I call my cheat sheet. These are my go-to questions to ask myself about my books, Act 1 through Act 3, and where I got these. Most of these questions come from the wonderful lady who, I want to make sure this is in frame for you guys. This is Outlining Your Novel. It's a workbook by K.M. Weiland. And then this book is Structuring Your Novel Workbook by K.M. Weiland. I love these books. But if you look inside them, they're blank. And that's because I use them over and over again with a transferring system that I like to do in these little notebooks. This has a lot of just brainstorming in there, bullet points, but I'll take this and move it into one story. Like this book houses several story ideas. But this, as you can see, is very busy and has all of this stuff coming in, all the good stuff, for my next book, for book 4. So you start off with something really basic like this if you're doing it with the analog. And I totally get it that some people like the just the feel of the pen in your hand and the paper, and I do too. And that's the reason I really love using this in my actual brainstorming that we talked about last week. I kind of use it there a little bit more leading into my outlining days. What you end up with is something akin to this with all your chicken scratch. Has all your notes, when things are happening. I use little dot sheets to notate when special things are happening. I need to pay attention to it. And then I go over to my outline area in OneNote. And from that moment on, I am totally in OneNote with this. So I'm going to go over to the other screen and show you guys what my OneNote 3x9x27 looks like. So give me just a second, okay? Okay, guys, I'm back. I hope you liked the overhead shots and that helped you on the analog side of things. Now I want to show you how I have moved digital for my nitty-gritty planning. I do like to use the analog for my skeleton, the bones of the story, because I can sit and doodle and do things. But when I get down to, all right, I need to have these scenes figured out because I need to write and I need to maximize my writing time. I need to do that quality quantity thing we always talk about on this channel. That's when I move to this. This is the 3x9x27. It is on a new book that I'm doing right now that has not come out into the world yet, so I won't leave it up too terribly long, but I love using this and it's so easy. And let me go over, do I have a blank one? Yeah, I have a blank one. So at this point, this is where you can go in and I would just like highlight this and I would be like, okay, this is where, let's say we're doing this for let's see, we're doing this for the Not So Fallen Angel one. And this is where we would put in that she is in the opening scene. She is looking at the stars. And then we're going to have our hook. And I'm just going to start filling things in. And I can actually write out different scenes. I can attach different scenes to that. And I can even come in and put some blurbs if I had some blurbs that I wanted to do. So it's really flexible. And that's something that I really love about OneNote is it's so flexible and you can capture everything. And that's another thing about your planning that you need to remember in this stage. Like in project management, in your planning time, that is where you are capturing all the information. You're capturing everything you need to know about that project so you can deliver that project to your client. Think of writing the same way. You are gathering all this information about these characters, about their world, about how they do things, and you're going to give all that information in your book to your reader. That's your deliverable, as we would call it in project management. Your deliverable is your book. Okay, I'm going to pull back up our PowerPoint, and because I do have some other things I want you guys to see, I'm going to share that screen. Present, share screen. There we go. All right, so we're ready to move on to the next one. So let's get ready. All right, so it is not wanting to go for me. There we go. All right. A really important thing that some people, I know I did in the beginning, I would just get up and go about my day. And when I felt like writing, I would write. And even though I wasn't working full time, I wasn't really having that consistent schedule. And in project management, you have a very consistent schedule. You do things at a certain time, certain day, and you do give yourself some flexibility. But for the most part, setting a consistent writing schedule, that's going to help boost your productivity. It's going to help you achieve your writing goals. And it's going to help you establish a consistent writing schedule. You need to determine your peak writing times. We've talked about this before when we were setting our SMART goals. We're setting a writing schedule, which is the goal you want to go with. So again, you're going to determine your peak writing times. You're going to put down specific goals for each writing. Make a clear, achievable writing goal for the day. Like if you have Act 1, Scene 1, you have it outlined and you feel good about that, then your goal for that day is to write the first chapter with that information. You know, and you can use anything. You can set a word goal, you can set a certain number of pages, a section like I just said. It's just whatever's going to keep you on track. Then when you're creating that writing routine, incorporate it into your daily routine. So you're choosing a time where it's a non-negotiable, where it's like, okay, this is when I sit down and this is when I write. And letting, again, everybody around you know when that is. You're also going to use your calendar and your planner. We're going to get more into how I use a planner later on. It's that spreadsheet that gave everybody some pause because it was so in depth and so broken down. But we will get into that toward the end of the series. But for now, what I would do, I would use my Google Calendar and the task blocks. If you can't, if you can afford it, then I would use Asana. It's a really good software. And that way you can treat them as appointments. So it's a commitment to yourself that you're going to do it, that you're going to take that time for yourself. And if you're not in a place like I am where, all you have to do is write, that's your job. If you have a daytime job, you can start with a shorter schedule, shorter times, manageable writing sessions, gradually increase them to something that you're comfortable with, that won't burn you out. And eliminate distractions. We talked about this in the project management overview. You need to have a nice, quiet, comfortable place. Turn off your notifications and close all unrelated tabs and just let everybody know, hey, this is my time to write. Try, please don't disturb me during this time. And make it a priority. I think if you schedule it and you see it and you have it where it's going to come up and it's going to remind you, hey, you're supposed to be doing this right now. It's going to give you that feeling of, oh, okay, I need to go do this. But also, in that same breath, I'm going to say, be flexible and give yourself grace, because there's times when things are going to happen. They're going to come up. This kid's going to need to go to this practice. This spouse is going to need, you to go somewhere with them, and, or this boyfriend, this girlfriend, whatever. And those things are going to come up. So give yourself that grace and don't get burnout, is my one thing I will say about that. And then another way you can do this is really cool, is tracking your progress. Let me see, I'm going to turn my back to you for a minute, which I really shouldn't do, but it's over here in my books. I want to show you. Where are you? Look, there it is. I have this, and I keep all my little book, my writing in it and what's going on. And I love this book. Mel Powers actually sells this on her website on Amazon. I believe it's called Everything But the Peppers. And I love this, and I love using it. It's another tool that's just great. But you can go to my Patreon on the free thing again, and you can print off, a free word tracker. I have them over there if that will help you. Reward yourself, join writing groups, staying positive. They're all ways and all things that you can do to add to they're tools you can add to your arsenal, so you can get these things done, so you can keep track of all the moving parts that being a writer is for us these days, especially indie authors. Right? Write freely without worrying about perfection. Allow yourself to get into a habit of, this part is probably one of the hardest things, because when I am doing an outline, I will, believe it or not, I try and go back over and edit myself. And sometimes my first idea is my best idea, and I end up going back to it. So at this point, this is where I kind of think it's best for us to just really write freely. You're just coming up with the approach right now. You're just trying to figure it all out and get it all down on paper. So embrace the flow of ideas as they come to you. You can set a timer and, use 10 to 15 minutes of free writing to get back on track with where you think your story needs to go, of picking out these, pivotal moments, the action of the protagonist, your plot twist, the dark moment of the soul. The main thing is to just accept the imperfection. You are just capturing first ideas right now. You are capturing the ideas that are going to go into your first draft, and that's fine. Embrace it. Embrace it. If you get kind of off track, you can use prompts to get yourself back into that writing flow and back into where you want to go. Another thing that I will do is I will break it down. When you're looking at this and it's blank, or you're looking at it on the sheet and it's blank, it's a little bit hard to know where you want to go with that information. So I will break it down into, I will say, all right, I am only going to work on these three right now. I'm only going to work on these three scenes and try and figure out where they're going and how they could tie back in to my resolution. And remember, you're writing for yourself. Your work, I mean, your reader, you're writing for, but if you're not enjoying it, that's going to be conveyed in the story, and your reader's going to know. They're going to know. Focus on the big picture. Use mind mapping. Another really good thing here, if you can't figure out during your outline who you're going to name somebody, where something's going to be, just use a placeholder. You can come back and you can name it later. Okay. Let's go to the next one. The main thing is to focus on getting your ideas down. Free writing again, when you're outlining and you're creating that rough outline, it's going to provide a roadmap and help you stay focused on the main points you want to cover. And again, the mind mapping and regular breaks are always going to help you. And remember that your grammar doesn't matter right now. I know your editor is somewhere screaming at me at the top of their lungs right now, but right now, grammar doesn't matter. If you have a thought about this would be a really cool scene, I don't really see how it's going to work in, go ahead and write it down. Keep a notebook handy where you can jot those things down with you. Like if you're in the car line to pick up the kids, have your notebook with you so you can jot that down. And just remember that your goal is just to have a draft of your outline. You're not, it's not going to be perfect when you're first outlining and making your plan. Embrace the messy nature of your outlines first draft. It's going to be a mess, and understand that is what it's there for. So let go of the need to make things perfect. Explore every avenue that you have for those characters and how you want your book to come across on the page, because it's your book. Okay. When you get into your first draft or your second draft or your third draft, that's when, you've got time to do revisions then. But the main thing at this point, even in your outline, is to focus on storytelling. Concentrate on telling your story rather than perfecting every little scene and all the flow. And just embrace the imperfections. It's okay. Do it quickly, keep moving forward, and celebrate your small wins as you go through working on your outline. Oops. Yes, revise and refine later. We will go through all of this a little bit more when we are looking at we'll look at it during zero draft writing, and we will look at it again during self-editing. That's two different videos that are coming up. The zero draft should be out May 31st or so, and then the first week in June will be where we start going into editing. And that may be a 2-part series, as will be publishing and marketing. So let's see. I think that the main problem I have is when I'm doing my outline and I get into I find a scene that I want to go ahead and get down during my plotting and planning and outlining time, I will kind of overwrite. And at that point, that's when I have to remind myself that this is my time to plan. This is not my time to write my novel. And I'm going to have a chance to go back and perfect it. I'm going to have a chance to go back and fix all these things. I just need to, right now, know that I'm getting the information down and I'm capturing all the information. And that's, again, like I showed you on OneNote, is the best one that I have found. In conclusion, plotting and planning and outlining your novel can transform your writing journey into a joyful and a productive adventure. By focusing on getting your story down and allowing yourself to write freely without the worry of perfection, embracing the messy nature of your outline and your draft, and all of these strategies will enhance your writing and it'll bring a sense of fulfillment and excitement to your storytelling. So when you dive in enthusiastically, knowing that each step will bring you closer to having that book in your hands and for it to be real and be really with you. And you will go from on paper to a book in your hand that is on sale now. Amazon.com. Shameless plug. All right, guys. I hope that this leaves you with more answers than questions. But if you do have any questions, you can write them in the comments below for me. You can also go on to my my membership on my Amazon, on my YouTube, and you can join there. Or you can go over to Patreon. There's a free section and there's a paid section. I only have one tier and it's $5. So if you want to join that, that would be wonderful. If you want to set up a time to talk to me one-on-one, you can go to my Calendarly and set up that up there. And all these links and everything I'm talking to you about is down below on my link tree. So it'll take you to everything and anything you could want, Jody Jean. So I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. Thank you for being here. And you know what I'm going to say before I say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I'm a really awesome group of people's double shot of whiskey. And I'm so happy and I'm so proud that you find me just right. I love you, love you. I'll see you during live sprints on Monday and Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on this channel. Bye, guys. Thank you.